The purpose of this short video is to demonstrate some of the features we were able to implement by creating the Operations Quality Observation Checklist in the Team Assurance platform. So the first thing we want to ask is, what is it that we're trying to do? Well, we're trying to create an intuitive, mistake-proof auditing experience that can be easily shared. We want to allow for evidence of findings in the form of pictures and documents. Whoever's out on the shop floor with the iPad will be able to take a picture in the moment. We want to be able to create a permanent record that we can later sort, analyze, so that we can find those opportunities to improve, create Pareto charts, understand what our issues are. We want to automatically update a list of nonconformances and be able to track the status of the actions behind those nonconformances to make sure that they get completed. And finally, we want to provide links to reference documents during the audit process right on the iPad on the shop floor. You're also going to see that we were able to incorporate how-to instructions right into the audit. So what are the advantages of doing an audit on a digital platform, a notepad right on the shop floor? Well, one of the first advantages we saw in building this audit was the ability to embed how-to videos right into the checklist. The video that we embedded was how to fill out the checklist, but obviously you could do this for completing an analysis, checking the run to recipe, and so on. We also found the ability to establish standards with pictures of what good looks like. The example we used in the checklist was housekeeping and success, but again, you could put in product specification pictures, you could put in gauge settings as pictures so people have a document to refer to. Speaking of documents, we also have the ability when we built this audit to link to the SharePoint of QAP documents. So while in the audit it says follow the procedure the standard procedure per this document, you then have the opportunity to click right on the screen, be taken to that SharePoint, and pull that document up to read right on the iPad. We think it's great that you have the opportunity to have photo evidence of whatever it is that you find. Imagine how powerful that is for controlled documents, uncontrolled documents. Not only take a picture of the document, but where it resides in the workspace. And then finally, we saw the ability of standardizing this entire audit request process so that it can be done at any location by any auditor, and it's universal. This builds in that mistake-proofing capability that we've talked about. So I want to start with an image of what the audit form or checklist would look like on an iPad on the shop floor. So imagine in the operator's hands would be this image, ATI Flat Rolled Products Operations Quality Observation Checklist. And then as they begin to fill out the checklist, first section they come across is how to fill out the checklist. And there is literally a video embedded into that section that when they click on the iPad, the video comes up and walks them through the steps on how to fill out the audit. Now you can put any video in here. I just use this as an example of giving instructions on how to actually fill out the audit, but you could give instructions on anything. Another feature that we wanted to highlight after putting this audit together was the ability to capture photos. So I know we've talked about this before, but we thought for controlled documents and uncontrolled documents, this was a great way to show evidence of what you physically saw. So simply by selecting on the Add Photo, you have the opportunity to take the photo right with the device on the shop floor, or as you see in the demo, you can go and pull that photo out of a file. That photo now becomes part of the permanent record for that audit. So think how powerful that is, because later you can retrieve those audits, you can retrieve those photos, you can show a history and demonstrate where the nonconformances have been and be able to put together that evidence into a Pareto of what activity needs to take place. So clearly one of my favorite features as we were putting this audit together was the ability to link to the SharePoint site where the QAP quality standards actually exist. So we noticed in this one audit question, it asked the auditor to refer to QAP 529 Addendum 1. And we were able to actually link to the SharePoint where that quality standard exists. Now, obviously, we didn't have access to that link, but in the future, imagine you could go right there, you could pull up that quality standard, you could read through it. That's a really powerful application for auditing, for sure, to be able to read the quality standard. But think about the other applications as well, being able to pull up standardized work, being able to pull up product specifications, being able to pull up one-point lessons. And then finally, we wanted to demonstrate the ability to add a provisional standard for an activity. So we have the opportunity to put a picture in place to show an actual visual of what conforming to that standard would look like. So this gives the auditor the opportunity to see what good looks like. We then would encourage them to take a photo to show what their observation was and allow them to compare that to the visual that we've implemented. Here again, we're talking about housekeeping and success, but this could be a visual that's just as powerful for product specifications, for dials or gauges during run to recipe procedures. So as we built this audit into a digital platform that can be done on a notepad on the shop floor, we thought to ourselves, what is possible and what is the value? The first thing that jumped out is the ability to identify nonconformance with evidence. We also noticed that you could notify the team members who needed to take action, because that's what's going to be important when these nonconformances are identified. It's going to give us the ability to summarize who needs to do what by when to build in the accountability to get those nonconformances taken care of. And we can share and update the status of those improvements. So those action lists get sorted, they get referenced, they have a schedule. You can tell whether you're ahead or behind and what's overdue. And then finally, we can find the largest nonconformance volume and assign resources to it, because now that we have these permanent records and the ability to sort them, it gives us the capability to take advantage of analyzing that data and applying the right resources. So I'm really looking forward to sharing with you the audit in a digitalized form. It has really been interesting to me, transforming it from paper to something that's customizable, that is standardized. It's in a digital format that can be done physically in the work area. I really do think it delivers value in helping to mistake-proof it, to capture evidence of what's being observed, and then to later be able to go back, keep track of the nonconformances, the actions that follow up on those nonconformances, and the status of the improvements that are being taken, as well as the problems that are being solved. So I'm looking forward to setting up a phone call when we can go through this together.